Hello, my friends. AmyR here with Prairie Paper Ink. Welcome back to my face and my card making space. Swatches. Organization of the crafty supplies. Not something I am very good at. I like to organize. I like to organize all the things, but I get asked a lot about how I organize, what I do, and honestly, for the most part, I just don't, y'all. Life is crazy. That said, I do like to organize. And one thing that I personally find helpful and need to do more of is swatching. It's not for everyone. Some people just don't care, and that's fine. You know, I am a visual person. I really like to see things at a glance. I like to see the colors, see the things. And when it comes to like inks and cardstock and all of that, it helps. So, last month, in August, Waffle Flower released a bunch of swatching dies, some stencils, some kind of add-ons. In the in previous years, they've released multiple swatching products. There have been dies and stamps and like organizational everything. I will link to their like organization category. I have done videos in the past using some of the products. I have many of them on the to-do list because there's a lot and it just kind of depends on what you want to do. Now, the beauty of it, of course, is how other people take these sorts of products or other products and organize their inks and cardstocks and watercolors and whatever it is. And it's always fascinating to see how other people do it. So I'm going to show you guys what I've done so far. My little system. This is so far. This is kind of the very bare bones beginning of it because I have not had enough time to fully flesh out what I want to do. But right now, what I'm doing, I'm pleased with. And this will hopefully make sense. So, like always, I will have links to the things. I'll put a link to the, like I said, the organization category. I will also link to everything I show and all of that. My links are affiliate links. So that just means that if you click on one of my links and end up ordering something, I do get a little kickback from that at no extra cost to you. That is what helps pay the bills, keeps the lights on, enables me to keep bringing out the content. So let me switch the camera down here. So these are just some, and I don't even have the dies in here. They're in one of my containers right now because I have been like doing all the things. So what Waffle Flower did was release, like I said, some what I'll call like add-ons. Because some of these will work with some of the previous sets. This all works on its own as well, and it all just depends on what you're looking for, what you want to do. So I used these three and did a bunch of die cutting. So I used the 1x1 die. So this die cuts out 4 little squares. There's the ink swatch 2x2, and then there's this one. And if any of this, it's like with each of them, Waffle Flower has done their own videos as well, kind of explaining. Because like I said, it's more than just a die or just like there's a thought process. And some of it is actually like just brilliant. So I highly also recommend checking out Waffle Flower's little videos. And then this is supposed to be part of a hop as well. So there'll be other designers and what they've decided to do. Always fun. Always fun to see what, how people choose to use the things and what they choose to use and how they choose to do it. So this is just what I've decided to do. So I use these three. But there's also there's this ink swatch slim. And this one you could use to die cut all these different pieces to put on the sides of like your ink pads. So this, I wasn't even really, and I was like, oh, that might come in handy. That might come in handy. And then there's also like the ink swatch label, and these all have like stencils as well. Stencils. So there's these. There's also like downloadables that Waffle Flowers provided that can work with these dies. again, I haven't gotten this far to like fully use these, but I've got things like printed off and ready to go. And it says too, coordinates with Waffle Ink Swatch Slim label. And like things are numbered. So like if you want to not only swatch, but like organize and number and so you can find the things. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I love it. I love it. So many ideas and things. So I used these. And the first thing I did was I die cut a whole bunch of cardstock. I have to like kind of move things around a little bit to show it. So the one thing, and I've talked about this before, if you are swatching specifically ink, whatever brand of ink, it doesn't matter. Make sure whatever cardstock you're using for those swatches, whether you're going to use something like this or you want to stamp your swatches or just whatever, use the cardstock that you work on. Because our habit for things like this is a lot of times just use the cheap stuff, use whatever cheap stuff. But if that's not the cardstock you actually work on, don't use that for your swatches because ink will look different on different types of cardstock. It really does. So for mine, I use Neenah's 80-pound Solar White because I use Neenah a lot. So this will give me like a true, color. And I die cut scraps, all the things, and then I just stuck them. These are the little Spellbinders craft stacks trays. So I had just piles. It was like sitting in front of the TV, and I just, use one of my little mini die cut machines and just die cut piles of them. So I have more than even I'm going to use for this because I'll be using them for future things. So I've got all my die cuts. And then what I did was, with all those die cuts, I took one of my grip mats. This is the Waffle Flower. Again, this is the photopolymer grip mat, the black one. But the acetate is what's black, not the matte. The matte is the clear photopolymer. So I've got that. And then my little system that I built was I would take one of each of these sizes. And I literally have outlines because I've done quite a few of my colors. And then I've got the stencils. And these also, the coordinating stencils for these dies with this release give you options. Each stencil, so for this one, you have both sizes. So you can have a stencil that will cover, so if you want to add color to the entire piece, or with a border. And I like the border. I think it gives it just a nicer look. So I use the stencils with the border for all of them. So I've got all of my little stencils, and I would just set these up, and I would do this a lot quicker. Explaining it all is taking me a little longer, but I would do these a lot quicker. So I had my stencils, and then whatever inks I want to swatch. So I needed to swatch all of my Concord and 9th inks because I haven't done it. I haven't swatched any of my inks, let's be honest. But I started with these, and then I will be working my way through all of my inks because I like to have the visuals. And I always started with the lightest shade because I'm going to use my big background blenders. I was using those. You can use whatever you want. You could also, if you want, you could go direct to paper if you wanted. Again, personal preference. Another thing I was doing was you could also like use smaller brushes, whatever. But I would always start with my lightest shade, and then I was working through the same. So I started with like my yellows, and I worked my way from my lightest shade all the way through. I did my oranges, etc., etc. And the reason I work with the lightest first is some of these brushes hadn't even been like used yet, but just to avoid contamination, because like if I did say like a navy shade first and then immediately go into super light, it could get the darker color onto these swatches. So this was my way of keeping it as true as possible. So this was kind of my little system. And this brush, obviously not brand new. I've been using it. Microfiber cloth. Because again, I don't wash my brushes, y'all. Like, I've talked about that. Even for swatching, I ain't washing my brushes. I ain't got time. So I would just keep wiping it on my microfiber cloth. And throughout this, I've actually gone through several because I keep separate cloths just for my crafting. And then I put these in a separate bin and I wash them separately from like all my clothes, towels, everything. Cause I don't, my cloths got inky, So I would just flip it around to a clean spot, rub the brush off, we're good. So either way works. These are little double-ended shader 1 plus, but ink them up and then just do my blend. And personally, I really love this. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel with this because all my other ink swatching that I've done in the past, I just use a stamp it, add a label, go on. That works great too, But I like the look because I've been blending them like darkest and just kind of fading it out. So I like the look of it. It just satisfies that itch, I guess, of, the border and then the blend. And I've been liking doing the blend because it kind of gives me also that visual too when I've been referencing this. I was like, okay, because I do so much more ink blending than I used to, So for all the other ones, I was going in with the bigger background blender and just doing the same thing though. And I was able to get these done pretty quickly, doing like 3 at a time. So I would just work my way through the way Waffle Flower, and I've like discussed this, shown these in a couple of videos so far. Waffle Flower recommends with these big background blenders is you're supposed to like swirl it, not tap it. I've been doing both. Honestly, it just whatever works, But yeah, I go heavier at the top of my swatch, side, whatever. I just go heavier on one side and then kind of let it fade out within reason. And that is it. So there's my three little swatches. So then I would take these off like this. And then while I was doing this, I would just flip them over. This is my other little tool in my little swatch arsenal. And I was just labeling the back of these with a pencil. Because then I'm just going to throw them into my another container to start organizing later. So no one's going to see the back of these. Don't really care. So there's my little swatches. And like I said, like it's got the border. I love it. I love it. So that was one. This is still clean, so I can just set that aside. For my stencils between colors, I clean them. I want to make sure I don't get any of this on anything else. There we go. I would lay them on this cloth, and then I'm spraying them with alcohol. This is just your typical 70% isopropyl alcohol. Nothing major. I've talked about this in many videos. I only use alcohol to clean my stencils and to clean like my glasswork surface or something that's plastic. Do not use this on your stamps. I do not use this on like your grip mats, like photopolymer. Over time, the alcohol can degrade photopolymer. You don't want that. Not a good time. It can wreck them. If you've done it a couple times and didn't know better, it's not the end of the world. It's fine. But I would not use these on stamps. Anything photopolymer, not good. Or red rubber stamps either, because the alcohol can wreck them. So I had this bottle. This is what I've been using. And then I've had one of these like mister type bottles for a while. And when I started doing all these swatches and it was taking me forever to like spray. So this was just a convenience thing because I just have to press this once, which I'll show in a second. So I just made sure to label it so that like this is alcohol. This is not water. So I don't want to spray this on my stamps, anything like that. And yeah, love it. So I use that, and then I just take a cloth and it wipes off. You can do this with water. These, especially with inks like this that are just water reactive and clean up with water. The only reason I prefer the alcohol is it dries like really, really fast. And it helps cut through some of the more stubborn inks, the really bright pinks and purples and reds, because those colors like to stain everything and don't remove as easily. So yeah, I do that. you can't really see it as much with these lighter shades, but when we get to the darker shades, it makes more sense. But hair everywhere, and that's all I do. So those are clean, and now I can just repeat the process. And I was just doing this like over and over and over again, working my way from lightest to darkest through each color family. So working my way from like the lightest pink all the way through to the darkest red, you know, light yellow to the deeper yellows, light, really pale green all the way down to, you know, emerald green, whatever. And yeah, wipe off my stencils, go on to the next one. And then with the brushes, like I said, just swirl it in my microfiber cloth really, really well. And then go on to the next color. So for this one, I would assume Harbor, because it is a deeper shade. And I could even do these smaller ones with this bigger brush. I'm loving these brushes. And I'm not aiming for a perfect blend either. One, these inks, along with inks like Simon's Stamps Positively Saturated ink, Altene's Fresh Dye inks, these are inks that smooth out as they dry. So also a reason why I'm not worried about them being, you know, perfect. But also, these are just swatches. Like, these aren't finished cards, anything like that. I'm just not concerned about it being perfect. But like I said, these inks do just smooth out as they dry. So rinse and repeat, just like so. And I keep working my way through until I do all the inks. So that's how I've been doing the actual like physical swatches. And then yeah, C9. Just scrolling the name on the back of them so that I know which one's which. And there, I've got that. So my plan is for all these larger, like 2-inch square ones, I plan on putting these into coin pocket protectors. I've shown that in other videos in the past. These ones I have are smaller and are no longer available, like on the market. These were ones by Simple Stories for their like little albums, and I don't think they make these specific ones anymore, but there are larger ones that fit like standard binders that are coin pocket protectors. And if I remember, I'll put a link to some of those. I do have some, but these ones I just connected with one of the Tim Holtz binder type rings, whatever these are called, and same thing, I'll link to one of these, and then this one. So these are ones that I stamped originally and then printed, and then I have like, you know, all these different colors like so. And that's what I plan on doing with these, is putting them in something like that for these ones. These ones for now, I'm just holding on to. I wanted to do them because I was like, these ones might come in handy to do like color combos. So mixing and matching with all the other ones, because again, I've got a whole wonderful little pile of them. So these I'm not using yet, but I'm planning on probably combining, like doing, you know, color combos with them. So it's like, might as well just do them while I was doing the die cutting. While I'm doing it, might as well do them. And then these guys, Waffle had a really good, like these are actually can fit like ink cubes. So if you've got ink cubes like these, you could stick those on top of your ink cubes. So you actually have a proper representation of the color. Because that's what I forgot to mention earlier. The reason why I like swatches, because like I said, the visual, is things like the actual ink pads themselves. Like these are plastic. So no matter what is printed on the plastic is not going to be the exact same as the ink on cardstock. Like that's how the ink looks on cardstock, because it just is what it is. Like they're completely different materials. You know, I will say the Concord and Ninth labels are pretty accurate, but their labels are not the same as what is put on the tops. And I like the visuals. And that's where too, that thinner one that I mentioned at the beginning, where did it go? He ran away. Like something like the Ink Swatch Slim label. This would fit. So you could like do these with this one and then glue them. And especially if you're whatever ink brand you're using doesn't, if they don't have their own labels, that's how you can make your own. And so I was thinking about it, 'cause I was like, oh, all mine are labeled, but I was like, oh, it might be handy to do up a bunch of these to stick on the other side. So again, I have that more accurate down the road. I don't have enough time right now, but it's an idea. But what I decided to do for these guys is I pulled out an oldie but goodie, and I'll have a link to this. This is the, I think there is a specific, it's called the Color, the Color Combos Tag Dies. This is one of the OG dies that Waffle released forever ago. So I'll post a link to it, and there's a few different options with this. But I die cut this. These aren't sized to fit this per se, but I figured out that I can fit 12 of these on this. And this I'm going to keep. This is going to be just my quick reference. You know, when I want like a pink, I want a red, I want whatever. It's like I can quickly just flip through this and be like, you know, and I'll have all the colors on these, and I'll attach them with one of those similar like binder ring type things, and I'll just keep it hanging from my little ink storage unit with these. And I've done, like I said, videos in the past using these for different things. They're handy. So I originally was going to handwrite all the names. I don't like my writing, you know, and I got myself a new label maker. I will share it. I'll post a link for anyone who's interested. This is just a little NIIMBOT, it's called. Yeah, it's a NIIMBOT. And you download the app on your phone. There we go. And the app is free. This was pretty cheap, the labels. So I'll link to the specific one. And you just gotta connect to it. And it makes a little noise. And then we're good. Okay. Mm-hmm. So yeah. And then all I have to do is, and for all of mine, I was changing it to like that. And then you can change the size of the font. You can make it, bigger, smaller. I made it fairly small. And of course I had like exited out of this before saving anything. So I didn't keep track of exactly what size I made the font on these. So I'm just going to go to 10 for now. And then we'll just print it and see. That looks about right. I think I want even a little smaller than that. Let's try that one. I think that's the right size. So I think the size I did was font size 9. Yeah, that looks correct. So I went through and printed all of the labels. And then all I did was attach each label. And then I worked my way through. And these look a little weird. For me, I have organized them in the order that Concord and Ninth has their inks listed on their website, which isn't how I would have done visually, but at the same time, I personally, a lot of times, will just go by whatever brand. Like, I organize all my distress colors by the way Ranger has it on their website. Like, I just, that's their thing and it works. And then I don't have to think about it. And with these ones, I was like, it kind of made me look at some of the colors in a different way than how I would have put them. And it's just like, I never would have thought of sticking this one with this, but then actually doing it, I was like, that actually makes sense. Plumberry is just a darker than Briar Rose. Who'd have thunk? Who'd have thunk? So once I finished all of my swatches, I still have a few more left to do to fill this out. Once I have them all, I lined them all up. So I had all 12. I had all my labels. And then I just started from the bottom and I put all my labels down all the way up. And then I would just use tape runner. I just used tape runner on these and I just ran it along the bottom and pressed it in to each of these. So then I've got all the colors, all the labels. And if you wanted, you could do both sides instead of multiples. But again, I wanted to be able to reference these. Goes in this direction, like at a glance like this. So then I can just flip it open and be like, I want this color, this color, this color, you know? So, and then this is also how I'm going to put them now in my ink stand behind me, as I'm going to have them organized in the same way. This is where you can get a little into the weeds, but also depending with the downloads and the numbers, is you can run them through, and that one's 5/6. This one is a slim label. This one. This is the one that fits that specific wafer die. Where did he run off to? You guys, I'm now like, there we go. Yeah. So you could do this. You could print these off onto your cardstock of choice, die cut them, and then everything's got a number, and then have that number put it on the ink pad. So if you don't store your ink pads exactly like this, like say they're all different, or in a different spot, or you keep them in a drawer, it's like, well, ink pad's labeled 1, so then you just got to find number 1, you know? And again, this is just barely touching the surface with how thought out this was. It's pretty brilliant. So that's how I'm doing these immediate swatches. And then, like I said, these ones I'm going to put into coin pocket protectors. So again, I'll have them all at a glance and can flip through them that way. And then these guys I'm going to save for now. I'll probably just put them in with these so that I can pull these out and then create color combos. I could probably do up a bunch of most likely tags or full sheets, depending, and have, you know, or we could use these and just attach 4, and could put these also in coin pocket protectors, you know, and have them label. And this is also where the numbers could come in really handy, because it's like you could have like a 1, 7, you know, whatever combo, and it's like, so you know which one is which. So options, so many options, love it. So there's my randomness. That's how I'm doing it so far. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing how all the other makers, what they've, like, their little systems, because sometimes it's like, oh, I never thought about that. That's a really cool idea, how they, you know, whatever little storage solution, swatching solution, what have you. I will include a photo of my ink storage, and I'll link to it as well. I've got it hanging on the wall behind me, so I'll take a photo of it and you guys can check that out if you're interested. And then, like I said, I'll have links to all of the things in the description box below. And that's it from me for now. And I will see you all very soon in another video. Bye. Thank you so much to my amazing Patreon supporters. For anyone that might be interested in joining my Patreon community and supporting me, the link to my Patreon is in the description box below the video. For everyone else, as always, thank you all so much for taking the time to watch my videos, for thumbs upping, commenting, subscribe if you haven't, I'd love to have you. And here's a couple other videos for you to check out in case you missed them. Bye!